Today I'm back in the greenhouse and I'm going to be planting marigold flowers because my neighbor told me that if I plant these I will help to avoid black fly. So I want to plant them in amongst my vegetable gardens. Now square foot gardening really comes into its own here because you can dedicate one little square foot to something that you specifically want, and this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be planting marigolds. So I'm going to be doing it in the greenhouse, and when they've germinated nicely, I'll then transplant them out into my veg patch. So let me get to that. The first thing I have to do is get some compost up here and break it up into a fine tilth, like I'm doing here. It's a nice rich sort of compost, and it looks lovely. It feels gorgeous in your hands. I love the feeling of this really nice moist sort of compost that one gets. It's really nice, and it fills me with hope that these seeds are gonna love it. They're just gonna find it beautiful to grow in. Okay, now I want to tell you something about these. These are newspaper rolled up into a little roll, forming like a little pot. Now I've got Vivi Gregory to thank for this. I saw this on her site, but she had like a little wooden contraption that helped you roll them. Now all I did was I rolled them around a piece of toilet roll like I was using here from Terry King, and I made these. And then you sort of like fold in on itself, and they make like little pots. Now I love the idea of recycling because, you know, my wife goes to work every day, and on the bus she picks up these newspapers and stuff, and when we go to church, the same sort of thing. There's always a free newspaper lying around. So we pick them up. Not only are they nice to read, but they also give me pots. So thank you very much, Vivi. I really appreciate this idea. I don't know whether you were the first one to come up with it or not, but I think it's a really grand idea, and I want to see how it works. Anyway, let me get some compost into these little pots. Okay, once again, the first thing I have to do after I've broken the compost up is to fill my pots full of compost. Now this is a relatively easy job to do. You just take lumps of compost and you just put them in. Now once again, I'm going to fill it up to the required height. And on the end of this packet, it says I must sow them only 1/4 inch deep. So I don't fill these pots all the way to the top. I fill them until there's at least 1/4 inch from the top. So I'm just compacting the compost down a slight bit into the paper to give it a bit of shape, that it'll hold its shape when we get down to wetting it and stuff like that. There we go. Now these pots are a little more than 1/4 inch, but that's not a problem because I don't have to fill them up to the top, do I? So there we are. That's having done now. Now I'll take the seeds and I will... Look how lovely these seeds look. They almost look like a little piece of work of art, but anyway. Let's just put the seeds into the pots like that. There we are. Put the rest of the seeds back in the packet because I will want more for the future beds. And now I take a little bit of this compost and I will just make sure it's lovely ground up, and I'll just sprinkle it over the top. Not much, mind. They say 1/4 inch, and 1/4 inch is only, what, about 6 millimeters, so it's just a sprinkling really of compost on the top. There we are. Now I think this is lovely. Now I'm just going to tidy up this tray, take the rest of the compost, put it back in the bag that it came from, and I'll be back with you. Okay, once again I've reached the stage now where I've cleaned up all this. Now I've got to water the seedlings. Now, and I'm watering them quite well because I want them to germinate nicely. They got in a lovely rich environment. They've been planted to the depth that's on the seed packet. And I'm really excited for the marigolds because I can plant them in amongst my other vegetables. It's going to make my bed look really, really pretty. Okay, now that I've got my marigolds planted, I know they're in this row, so I'm going to be putting my tag over here and get my piece of wood and just separate it. Because when I've got these trays nice and full, I'll be start planting in all these other sections. Now, remember, if you know a better way of doing this that is completely organic and that is, it hasn't got any genetic modified, it hasn't got any pesticides or anything else like this, and of course that it's frugal, it's cheap to do, please put it in the comment, because the whole idea of frugal living is to get there really quickly and to provide yourself with a meal on an ongoing basis, on a daily basis. It doesn't matter what the size of the vegetable is or anything else, as long as you've got the food on the table. I would love to know. So I thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye. Yes! Please subscribe!